have you guys here on this Friday, the 21st, June 2024. Thank you for tuning in. Hezbollah, just to the north of Israel. Now, to the, I guess it's south and west, is the Hamas on Israel. You know, it's down near the Gaza area. But going up to the north of Israel, that's where Hezbollah's at. And there's been kind of like a exchange of fire back and forth that's been ongoing. But it's really starting to, it says here that Hezbollah time bomb is ticking. It says, let's not mince words. The Middle East is on the precipice of the most destructive war of the region's modern history. Hezbollah. It's getting ready to blow up into... it's moving toward regional war in the area. That's what it's moving toward. And it says Hezbollah continues to fire at Israel. It says the Israelis, for their part, have been forced to evacuate roughly the same number of citizens from their northern communities. It says this is an unacceptable situation for Israelis across the political spectrum. The public is demanding decisive action from the government to resolve this threat, the threat from Hezbollah to the north. And so we're looking at this developing possibly into something much bigger in that region right now. Now, I found this interesting right here, that Louisiana classrooms are now required by law to display the 10 Commandments. It doesn't really say here where and stuff, does it? Does it say that? It says a poster-sized display, large, easable, readable font in every classroom in schools that receive state funding from kindergarten through university level. The legislation specifies the exact language that must be printed on the classroom displays and outlines the text of the 10 Commandments must be in central focus in the poster or framed document. Wow. Now that's interesting. Now, listen, guys. You guys are, if you're in the United States, most likely you've been in this heat wave, and I've been in it. Man, I'm telling you, the last 2 days here, it just felt like I would walk outside, and it felt like I was opening the door to an oven and stepping inside an oven. Now, I had to make a little trip with my car. My car's air conditioner's been working good. First time ever it quit working. You know, and I had to go because they were going to close. The store was going to close, where they had something for me, a part that I needed to get, and it was about 10 miles away, you know. So I started driving my car. My air conditioner quit. And I'm going to tell you, it was absolutely, I felt like I was in some sort of a sweat box or something inside that car. Rolled the window down, the air coming in wasn't much better. There was no evaporative cooling whatsoever. I happened to have a jug of water there, and I just dumped it on my head while I was driving, you know. And you know what? Before I got to where I was going, I was completely dry. Something's going on. It was weird. But we had 2 days from hell, the last 2 days. Today it's modified just a little bit. But it was so hot you didn't dare try to do any work outside or anything because you'd end up good. And look here in Mexico here, the people are dropping like flies, starting to, in different places. Now, they had a big heat wave in India not long ago, and people were starting to die. And people are starting to die here in Mexico, too. It says at least 125 people in the Latin American nation have died due to the heat this year, according to the data. Now, see, generally these estimates are very low. This is part of climate change coming in. And we have to accept the fact that this might get a lot worse yet. Taking a look here at this is another hot spot in the world right now. And perhaps this is the hottest of the hot spots. The area around the Spratly Islands, where China went in and they made these artificial islands by dredging the ocean floor and putting the sand up. The islands didn't exist. And the Philippines have certain territories in there. And so I'll tell you what it's getting down to. Now, you've seen them shooting water cannons at one another, ramming into each other's ships. Now it's starting to really get serious. You see what the Chinese guy's holding in his hand right there? That's right. That's what it's coming down to. It's coming down to the wire here. The Philippines are having to defend themselves because it's getting really kind of wild out there. And I mean, this is what starts wars. An incident can happen, and the next thing you know, two countries are going at it. So we got to watch this area, because this is the big explosive area in around Taiwan, in around the Spratly Islands in the South China Sea. This is the area where we have to really watch for World War III to erupt. And you want to talk about things getting bad. If that breaks loose, look out. Now, gold today, it's taking a little bit of a beating. It's down $31 at $23.28 today. Of course, being as my last show was like 48 hours ago, in the interim between those two shows, gold shot up, and now it's shot back down. It's pretty much at the level it was when I did my last show. Same with silver, It's shot up, and then now it's dropped 99 cents, but it's the same as it was when I did my last show, basically. I think it was $29.40 or something like that. It's $29.68 right now. So it did a bounce, and now it's lost that bounce again. So now cryptocurrency today. Cryptocurrency is kind of down. Bitcoin's at 63,670. And Ethereum is at 3,483 today. And XRP, the 50-cent coin, is at 48 cents, 48.4 cents. So crypto's not doing a whole lot right now. It went up to 72,000. And now it's backed away from that. It's never really got back to that point again now. It's just kind of hanging on in the 60s. Now, for cryptocurrency to take over the world, and, Bitcoin, it wants nothing less. It wants that. It wants to take over the world. It wants to take over the entire world's financial system. In order for it to do that, we have to continue to have our networks that Bitcoin exchanges upon. And those networks are basically the internet. That's the network. Bitcoin's network is the internet, or computer technology, and it has to have electricity and stuff like that in order for it to expand big. Yeah, Bitcoin could actually survive a long-term power outage and stuff. But just because it survives doesn't mean it's going to win. For it to win, the networks have to stay in place for Bitcoin to win. And what do I mean by win? I mean take over the world's financial system. Because they've created a worldwide Ponzi scheme, Bitcoin's putting its place in to say, hey, I'll be the new gold for the system. And it really functions well. And it's able to do things gold can't do. It can transfer across the internet instantaneously. But on the other side of that coin, it needs that network to transfer on. If it doesn't have that network, it dies. Gold doesn't need that. Gold was used for 7,000 years before we had any networks. back when we didn't even have lights. So if they're going to work on, if our world becomes a world that's so unstable that we can't rely upon these networks any longer, then Bitcoin is not going to be able to function in that. But gold will. So this is why it's good to have both, guys, because one functions well if we have a chaotic world with no structure and our telecommunications are interrupted half the time. That kind of a world, gold functions well. But Bitcoin functions well in a modern society where we have our technologies, and our technologies can be relied upon. Taking a look at crude oil today, and crude oil is 81.39. Wow, it must have taken a bounce because it was in the 70s and now it's 81.39. You're going to see that at the pump. You're going to feel that. Here in Canada, it means that's going back up to around $1.80 per liter. So you got to 4 times that to get the U.S. price. But then you got to drop 70 cents off because the Canadian dollar is only worth 70 cents. So it's basically subtract 30%. So times 4 your gallon price, say $1.80 a liter, times 4 to make your gallon price. And then subtract 30%, and you got the price of a gallon of gas here. I think it's like $7 or $8 or something. I don't worry about it any longer because, I mean, it's most of it, a lot of it, a big chunk of it's tax. But a big chunk of everything's tax. You know, they're taxing you on tax. They're charging you taxes on the taxes. And when you work for what you call money, which is not even money at all, it's just printed paper. It's only worth by decree. It only has value by decree. And they give you that money. They charge you income tax on it. And then the first place you go out and you go to the store to spend it, and they're going to be charging you sales tax on it. And then that same dollar that you just spent will probably make its way through the system 4 or 5 times in a day. And each time they're going to chop off a sales tax on it. And the people, it just goes around and they get it all in the end. Why don't they just say initially, right off, we're going to take it all. What do you earn? Write it down. We'll take it. Thank you. What are we going to give you for it? Oh, we're going to create more and more and more and more laws in the end. And there's going to be so many laws, you're not going to be able to function any longer because there's so much red tape. You can't do anything in life. And then we got the demographic coming along where everybody out there saying, oh, the earth's overpopulated, too many people around. Yeah, but this is a model that worked for a long time for our social structure. And what do I mean by that is people would have a lot of kids, and the kids are going up and they'd take care of the elderly. So there'd be more kids and more young people than there would be old people. And so you had a demographic where there was a considerable young population to take care of the older population. So we have all these social programs and stuff, but now what's coming along is it's not happening anymore. They're not keeping up. They're not, and it's going to really show up in about 10 years from now. And there's going to be far more elderly than there are young people. We're moving in a bad direction that way, demographically speaking. How did I get talking about demographics? But it's going to be a total mess, a total wipeout mess. Of course, everything is heading, it seems like in our near, not too distant future, there's a point where all of these crises that I talk about on the channel, whether it be diseases, whether it be weather-related, whether it be financial, whether it be war, whether it be... And there's just so much out there. And it all has a dew point in the near-term future where it's all going to come crashing down. It seems like it's almost like it's timed at the same time. It's all going to come crashing down just out in our future. And it really does look bleak. There's no other way for me to put it, but it looks very bleak. Will we survive it all? Well, I hope so. Bonds and rates today. Bonds and rates today, we're seeing a climb in yields today of 1.9 basis points on the U.S. 10-year for 4.27, and the U.S. 30 years fell 2.1 basis point up. So we got rising yields. That I say falling yields. Well, that's because when bonds fall is when yields rise. I know, the stupidest market out there, because everything moves in reverse on it. So if there's a crash in this market, you see it rising, you see these yields going up, that's a crash. So it's in reverse. It's like backing up a trailer with your car. You ever backed up a trailer with your car? Everything's backwards. There's a lot of things in life like that. You know, the ambulance comes up behind you. They always have it written backwards, ambulance, so you can see it in reverse in the mirror. Dollar index today. Tickle in the back of my neck. Anyway, the dollar index today is at 105.8. It's up today. It's getting up kind of high right now. This is a negative on gold when the dollar goes up like that. You guys have a great afternoon, and we'll catch you guys in the next show. And I mean, if you like the sunshine and stuff, get out there and take advantage of it. But make sure you drink a lot. Keep up, because you can start to get dehydrated and not know it. You know? And you want to always, this time of year, see, up here in the north, guys, all winter long, I carry a blanket in the car. Right? This time of year, you should carry a jug of cool water in your car. Very good idea. So if your car breaks down or whatever, you know. Listen, guys, have a great day. Bye-bye.